ADHD Babes, the podcast, a podcast hosted by the ADHD Babes community for the community. Join us every 2 weeks to share in our babes' personal experiences, gain useful tools, and be educated by special guests in topics such as ADHD management, relationships, general well-being, tech and fun, culture, and more. Please note, nothing mentioned during the podcast is meant as a diagnosis. If you believe you have ADHD, please seek professional advice and visit or join ADHDBabes.com for help with diagnosis. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. And now, you're listening to the next episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Hello and welcome to a new episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. Today's episode is hosted by me, Shauna, and
me, Tyler, and today we're going to be discussing the difficulties in making and retaining friendships with ADHD, especially prior to diagnosis and or the knowledge that you may have ADHD.
Joining us in the discussion, we're joined by ADHD Babes Viv and Renee. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, girl. Hey. Hey, girls. Hey. Sorry.
Just to we all she her in this.
Yeah.
We're being inclusive.
Yes, I was about to put a little disclaimer in there. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't misgender around here. We don't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
None of that.
We're not into that business.
Okay. ADHD usually comes with a number of comorbidities, including social anxiety. Many people with ADHD, both introverts and extroverts, struggle to maintain long-term friendships. So before being diagnosed, what do you feel was the main reason it was difficult for you to maintain friendships, Renee?
Why would you start with me, girl?
sorry. We can go
Wow, where do I start? I think I need to open the notebook. Such a good question. Because maintenance is relative, right?
Yeah.
There are some friends who are high maintenance. There are some friends who are low maintenance. So I would say that friends who, what I classify as high maintenance, are friends who require a lot of contact. So I would say that if we start there, those were probably the most challenging. That's not the only challenge, but if I'm just answering it just purely organically and just trying to break it down, I've thought about this quite often in terms of reviewing friendships and like attachment styles. And I find that friends who are more anxiously attached, that's a struggle because they require a lot. They are high maintenance. So in terms of the difficulty, there are many, but I think that when I look back, not to say that there's not been any issues in other friendships, but I would say that just when I've thought about it sometimes, that's been a struggle because I'm just a free flow person, you know? And you know, when they're always like, you know, love those friendships where it doesn't matter how long you haven't spoken for, like you just get right back into it.
Yeah.
I think that has been a challenge when I find myself in really close relationships with people who want to meet all the time, talk all the time. Why don't you answer my phone? All of that, it's a bit much for me. I'll pass it over to Viv, but there are other areas that are a struggle. But I would say in terms of maintenance, high maintenance people who require a lot of interaction, that's a struggle.
It is very draining, to be fair, like especially if you, as you said, you are like a free-flowing person, go with the flow kind of thing. Maybe one day you feel like, okay, I want to talk to loads of people, I want to engage with this person or that person. You do it, that's great. And then the next day you might just want to stay at home.
Yeah. And it might not be a day, babes. It might be a month. It might be 2 months.
And that's fine. But some people don't necessarily get that, especially if they don't know that you've got ADHD, or they think, oh, well, she's not spoken to me today, so obviously there's a problem. When there might not be any problem at all. It's just I've not thought about you. Not I've been thinking about 45 other things.
Try 155 times
yeah.
1,000. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily that, oh, I'm not your friend, or you've done something to me and I'm now not talking to you. There's a problem. You've not come up on the priority list today, and that's there's nothing
And it's
wrong
not personal.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a personal thing if I'm not talking to you, and that's fine. But as you say, people with anxious attachment styles do often take things a lot more personally than people who have secure attachment styles. But
and because you have ADHD, that person with that anxious attachment style is gonna give you the most stress, because you're gonna want to please them, and then when you're trying to look at yourself, you then can't look at yourself, because you can't then say, no, I need to just cut myself off from everyone for a couple of days, like get myself back on track, because this person's now going to get upset that you haven't reached back out, you haven't replied to their message as soon as they sent it. That's going to give me more stress, and it's like, you can't,
100%.
it's so hard to meet them in the middle.
Yeah, that stress spiral and cycle is a bit much. So yeah, that's my first answer. Over to you, Viv.
No, it's really interesting, because when I'm like, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm imagining myself on both sides.
Yeah.
Because I've been in situations where, you know, friendships have ended because, well, my assumption is, because I didn't even ask.
I don't even give a heck. I don't see you again. That's it.
I just thought, you know what? If you're not going to communicate what your problem is, then do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna chase you to figure out what's wrong, type of thing. So my assumption is, because I wasn't reaching out as much as they would have liked me to, it was like, okay, cool, you're not fulfilling my needs. You know, this friendship is done, type of thing. It was like, okay, fair enough. It's by force in this life. But then I've also been on the other side where, you know, I've got really close friends, or if I message them and they don't respond for 7 days, and then they're like, hey, what you been doing? I'm like, oh, sorry, hold on.
Yeah. Oh, so you're alive now. I get it. I can relate to both sides.
Do you know what I mean? And I think it's such a weird place to be in. And like, I know, because sometimes, like, I've been seeing it a lot on Twitter and stuff, where people say stuff like, oh, you know, nobody owes you anything, and blah, blah, blah. And at first I was like, yeah, but now I'm like, actually, I think everything is on a spectrum.
Yeah, that
like
part.
There's relationships where I can't fulfill the level of contact that this person needs. So we're just not compatible. And that's absolutely fine. Like, we can actually just leave things as they are. And then the same with friends that I'm really close with, and maybe they're not able to fulfill my needs. If I can communicate that with them, and then they can, you know, try their best to do that, then it's something we can compromise on. But I think we all get to decide what types of relationships we want. And I'm trying to find that balance, where there's some where I can't fulfill that. I can't do every day. I can't always be the one initiating. But then there's some people where it's like, you know, we can share the load a little bit. So I think it's just deciding, well, for me anyway, it was deciding like what types of friendships I want. And when I have one, can I communicate with that person if I feel that my needs are not being met, or I'm not fulfilling theirs? And those are the ones that have been the most fulfilling, where we could be like, hey, you ignored me. Is everything okay? And
it's not a fight, it's just a conversation.
Why are we fighting? Me and you that were holding hands the other day. What? It's not beef, like. But then there's other people where, you know, I might see them once a month. We might check in once a month, and I've just accepted that that's the type of friendship we have, and that's actually okay. Like, you're allowed to change the dynamic, because you can't be busy mates with everybody. Like, there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, there's not.
So yeah, I think it's like, there's no owing, but it's more about what's the agreed relationship that you guys want. And that's how I've been trying to balance it. And it's definitely working a lot better than it was, boy. But I think definitely before, my main difficulty was like, and this is random because I only found out it was linked with ADHD later, but I was quite, my emotions are quite intense.
Yes.
And then the way I think is quite rigid. So it's like, if you upset me, and it also not even making sense, nah, man, I don't want to play with you. So I struggled with that a lot.
I struggled with like it's obvious that, you know, like what you've both put the nail on the head, in the sense that we will maybe just forget about you for a bit, but that doesn't mean we don't love you. But
Object Permanence, baby.
Well, that also brings me on to my next question in just a sec. But what actually annoyed me was the fact that that person wouldn't text you until the point in which they're saying, oh, you don't text me, we're not friends anymore, kind of thing. And it's like, hold on a minute, ain't it two-way? Like, you could have texted me, and if you text
100%.
me, I probably would have texted you back, you know, like,
Exactly.
it's just
Yeah.
that you never came up. I didn't have anything to say to you, so I didn't text you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had something to say, I probably would have.
But you're not beefing them. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So that actually brings on to the next section, which was talking about out of sight, out of mind. So you guys have kind of already touched upon it. So that doesn't necessarily associate with objects, it associates with people as well. And it obviously, I mean, when you finish school and like you go to like university, everyone is from everywhere, and then you leave university or even school and you all go about your lives. Everyone moves to different places. Like my friends are all over the UK. Some of them are not even in the UK anymore. And it's been hard to maintain long distance relationships. And I want to know whether or not you guys have experienced that. Did you manage to find some way to overcome it and to help keep that friendship alive? I'll start with Renee, since we just heard it.
Why is it me always first? Gosh. Out of sight. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily apply to distance, but just so not just because you mentioned international or whatever.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I mean, it's literally you're not seeing them every day. Like you go from being at school and it'll be like you're seeing them 5 days a week to literally just like having to make the plans to go and see them maybe a few months.
I mean, this whole adult friendship, it's like, girl, let's put something in the diary. How about, 2023? Like everybody is just so busy. Like, I think it's really just about communication. As I said, adult life is busy as hell. Everybody has got things going on. And so it's really about being able to communicate like what you've got going on in your life. And I think that maybe the friendship doesn't look like what it used to look like. Maybe we don't go out all the time. As I said, I feel like I still engage, but we've not necessarily seen each other, especially in the pandemic, if I'm being really honest. If we're thinking of specific examples, like sometimes it can hurt, but everyone's got their stuff, and so maybe personally, I've had times where like I have friends and we'll speak every week. We're very intentional about that. And then things shift. People have lives. I think that sometimes I'm a bit of it's weird because as I said, I'm friendly. I've got loads of friends, but I'm also a loner. And I think people are really shocked when I say, hey, you might see me outside, but when I'm inside, I'm inside.
I call myself the introverted extrovert.
Yeah, I'm an ambivert.
Yeah, like I'm just I'm just dynamic.
Thank you. I could get you a girl that can do both. Okay. So
multitasking.
So maybe with like those extroverted friends, like maybe I was in that season when I wanted to be outside and like I just don't want, like even beyond just not wanting to, I'm struggling. So I've had comments like when I've actually, I mean, this is before I got my diagnosis. So I've only got diagnosed formally this year. And then I've been struggling with my mental health for a good couple of years. But I think before I really understood that this is why I've been struggling, friendship was hard because of my mental health, So when I'm inside, it could be because I want to be inside because I'm just so tired from being outside. That's one version of events. But the other version is that I'm literally fighting for my life. So I'll have friends that are just like, oh, we just thought you were just, just doing your lady of leisure vibes, having the time of your life. I said, no, I've been struggling. So I think that it's created a lot of misunderstanding about who I am and what I'm doing when you don't see me. I think everyone just think, oh, she's fine. Like, yeah, maybe you just see me as an extrovert 100% of the time. But no, it's either that I'm recharging because you know what? People are a lot. So I'll just say sometimes I've people too much. It's my time. And so maybe those extroverts, maybe those friends that I'll speak to every day might be like, but we were here. And I'm like, well, no, I'm kind of in another direction. So it's still a work in progress. But I think through this process, I've kind of honed down who really understands me. And at the start of this year, even towards the end of last year, it was very much I mean an intention for me to say that I want to build my village. I don't want, you can have friends for different reasons, but who I call my friend, I don't do this whole just, oh, let's go out for a drink, girl. No, I'm gonna be that friend that's there at your bedside. And if I can, that's also another thing with friendships, like learning boundaries. But I don't want to just do friends for the sake of, like, if you're my friend, you're my sis. I will treat you in a way that I would want, because I know that life can get hard. And so I set that intention. And as I thought through it, the start of this year, I'm like, I'm going to pay attention to how I feel around certain people. And using that as the framework, it's not that we're not friends. It's not that I don't have love for you, but the girls that get it, get it. And whether that's through communication, whether that's just through empathy, whether that's through seeing me beyond being the bubbly, energetic, whatever labels people give to me, because I am dynamic, as you said, Shauna, thank you.
Come on.
But some people only want some sides.
Yeah.
And that hurts. So yeah, that's a really long-winded answer to the question, and I hope I touched on the
I have so much to say about that, but before I do, I want to hear what Viv has to say.
Yeah.
Proper, no. That, especially what you said at the end around, like, people only, some people only wanted to take like the best sides of us.
Yep.
It's like you can't pick and choose.
No, full package deal.
Everything is everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So even in terms of, like, you know, sometimes, like, because I definitely relate, like, if I go out today, I need to be inside tomorrow. Or if I go out today and tomorrow, then the next 2 days I need to be inside. That there needs to be a balance to recharge.
Yeah.
And sometimes from the outside looking in, if it's like, and I think that's the whole thing of, I think it's related to masking as well. Like when people only see the bubbly, like fun, oh my God, but you're such a social butterfly. I am not. I'm not. Like, your lens is not clear.
Yeah, you can't. You don't know the full story.
You haven't seen the full story.
Yeah.
So I think, like, not being seen wholly, and then also because a lot of the time we do mask, like, you know, we want to get through the day, and also we want to spend time with people, so we do our best to accommodate and to do these things, but what it takes to get that far, I think, is often missed. Some people will see it and then they will, you know, check up on you and not feel away if something happens. I think if the first instance for someone is to be like, oh my God, I haven't heard from them, and be annoyed, it's like, for me, that's not even caring, because you don't know what's going on with me, bro.
Drop the mic, yeah, because that's the major key. Don't let me start preaching. Oh, don't let me start.
I've been trying to work on it myself. Like, if someone hasn't messaged me, my first instance won't be like, hey, like, oh, you're ignoring me, or it's like, hey, is everything okay? And then if everything's okay, then let's move from there. But you know, people are people, like you were saying, like, we can go through different things. So yeah, I completely relate with that. In terms of, like, object permanence, and just as like a description, it's linked with ADHD, where if something's literally out of sight, it's out of mind, because it's not constant. Like you said, Shauna, it doesn't have to be a thing. Like, if I saw someone every day at work and then I'm working from home, they might not come into my mind because they're not, like, visibly in my sight. I think the way I've managed it, like, I remember when I first did CBT, like, one of the things we were doing was trying to figure out how I can engage more with people I care about, because I was feeling isolated. So literally every week I would put in a time to message a list of people that I cared about, or like I'd put it at the end of the month where it's like, okay, I'm going to message anyone on this list that I haven't spoken to in the last month. And then over time, it just started turning into a routine. So even though it wasn't automatic, I almost had to kind of
Train yourself.
Yeah, like, just accept that this is the way my brain works. Like, I don't automatically remember these people, and it doesn't mean they don't matter, because there's this, like, I don't know, this neurotypical expectation that if something matters, you won't forget, and that's a lie. I forget very important things.
Do I even know my name half the time? Like, even just today at work, I'm like, what's that thing that they put paper and they write? What's it called again? Like, you don't understand this working memory. Like, so yeah, please, I need compassion, because it's really hard.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's called a whiteboard, by the way. Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, it might be.
Something board. Something with a B.
I've had an experience with this, like, really recently, like, both with my mum and my aunt. So I moved out of my parents' house, like, I didn't stay at home long after, like, moving back after uni. I had surgery I recovered from surgery. I got a job and got the hell out.
This
Not that I don't love my family. I do. I could live with them all the time, but I like my own space, and I feel like I've moved past living at home. And I left all of my stuff there. Like, it's still there. My grand's complaining. She's like, when are you gonna come get this stuff? And I'm like, it's all right, Juma, I'm coming. I've lived here. I've lived out of London for like 6 years now. They're still waiting. And then, so my mum and my aunt are like, oh, if you wanted that, anything there, you would have taken it already. And I said, no, I might not even remember it exists. That's not true. Like, I could look at it and be like, oh my God, I was wondering where this got to. But like, so I don't just throw away my stuff. Like, let me look at it. Like, let me at least say that I've looked at it. It's in front of me. I can see it with my eyes, and I do not want it.
Make a decision from that.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
it's interesting how that works with people, because I think that, like, I do deep friendships in a way. Like, I like to really connect with people, and so even as you were talking about object permanence and they've been given a description, like, I always used to question, well, obviously now I know, but I always used to question, I'm like, but we walked together and she was my best friend, and how come like now I'm just like, it's like literally out of sight, out of mind, like, and I always used to have this issue with myself, because I'm like, why are you like this? Why do you just pick and drop people? But it was never intentional. It's just that when I move on to a different phase of my life, like, I'm always battling so much that like I can literally only just focus on what is going on now.
Exactly.
But when we connect, and I'm like, oh, I really used to like you. Let's go out for a drink.
Yeah. No, I'm
it's
very similar to that.
Yeah.
I always have been. Like, even primary school, there's one person from primary school who used to live around the corner from me, and then they moved to a completely different area, like miles away. You have to get a train to get there. But like, her grandparents still live around the corner, so she'd come back. So it'd be like, that was the first time I actually had a friend who I wasn't seeing every day, that I was still connecting with, and we're still friends now, because I was just conditioned to being like, oh, well, person A is not here, but we still catch up, and when we're together, it's all cool. It's like we were together yesterday. And then taking that forward into like, oh, when I went to high school, and then I'd be in one group, and then next time I'd just walk through the playground and see, oh, those people are catching joke, I'm going to go and stand with them. Completely forget about the people that I've been with for the past like 3 months, and then these are my people now. And then 2 months later, move on to a next group, and it's like, oh, Tyler's really bubbly, she's like a social butterfly, she's got friends here, there and everywhere. And then you go home and you're like, oh my God, I've got no friends, because why do I not have those people? And when you're growing up, it's quite difficult, because I only got diagnosed this year as well. So in my head, I was kind of like researching it for like ages, like years, decades. No one took me seriously. So then when it came down to like actually realizing maybe these are traits of ADHD, which is why I feel the way I feel. And then it wasn't until I got older that it was like other people then are checking in, that I'm like, oh, these people are my actual friends. These people are my real friends, because I could have my home friends. I go to university, they're checking in on me like, hey, how's it going? When are you coming back home? And I'm like, oh,
so you actually care.
Yeah. And it's that thing where it's like, oh, right, okay, well, I will then check in on you because I remember that you messaged me, and maybe I didn't reply on the Monday, but it just popped up in my head on the Thursday, so I'm going to message you back. Then suddenly I'm coming home next weekend, let's chill. Right? And then that then happens and continues, but then I still find it like, I'll go to work, I'll make friends, I'm in there at the moment, and then as soon as you're working from home, don't speak to these people, or they move to a different office, never heard from them. And then you're like, oh, I remember that friendship. I remember that we used to do everything together. And then it's like, oh, actually, no, we're not friends. Like, I would then feel awkward being like, oh, hey, how's it going? Because I've not spoken to this person. But then I'm also thinking, given the past experiences, actually, if they were my friend, why wouldn't they check up on me? And then I then have to check myself about, how am I grading friendships and relationships and connections? It's that thing.
And placing
responsibility. yeah, is this actually just an acquaintance? Are we just doing this out of the fact that we're both in the same situation?
Speak on it.
You know what I mean? Like, are we actually friends? Or is it just because we're both put in this situation and we both need someone that's kind of on the same level and will do for now? You don't know. But then I find, for me personally, it's those people that are reaching out that also understand, I may not get back to you in the next 10 minutes. I might get back to you in 20 seconds, but I could also take 25 days. And they're still just as empathetic. Also open the arms, welcome me back. Like, how's it going? What have you been doing? Like, yada, yada, yada. And they'll accept my 45 messages that I'm going to send in the space.
That part,
okay.
Yeah, that's also a challenge, because I think that some people obviously with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, which is an aspect of ADHD. Now, let me not mess this up and just give one backwards explanation of what that means. But help me, guys. But essentially, Viv, do you want to step in? Or should I try? I'll try.
Yeah, try.
Yeah. Go on. Give it to us. Give it to us.
No, you first.
Me. Okay, so my version, my understanding. So essentially, emotional regulation is something that those with ADHD struggle with. So we feel emotions really intensely, and rejection sensitivity dysphoria. I need you to mark me on this, actually, Viv, by the way, when I give this. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria is feeling, whether it's perceived rejection or actual rejection, criticism, you feel that so violently that it's just all consuming. So it can take a really long time to get over things, whether it's criticism. You're just highly sensitive, and so in friendships, that's hard, because somebody could be, I'm just keeping it real. No, babes, you're just being rude.
Yeah, there's a difference.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
All in the tone.
So 100%. How did I mark?
I think that was excellent.
Thank you. Feel free to throw in anything else that I missed.
I'll put some dings on the sound.
In it, edit in.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is that another thing that makes RSD very prevalent in people with ADHD, because people without ADHD can also have it.
Yeah.
But because, especially when you get diagnosed late, because we are criticized so much, constantly as children. I can't remember the exact stat, but children with ADHD are told off a lot more than children without ADHD. So kind of going through life being criticized and then being afraid to mess up and then masking, like, puts us constantly on the edge of not wanting to be, get stuff wrong and be wrong, and then we internalize that. So that also adds into why so many people, we don't want to be rejected, because that's what we've been experiencing for so long. So yeah, it is really difficult.
It's so hard.
I actually experienced this last night.
Okay.
Oh no.
So it was with my cousin. My cousin is having her first baby. Very excited.
Congratulations.
Yay. Too soon. Can't wait to meet them. So she's having a baby shower on Saturday, and I've put off buying her gift for like forever. So I messaged her and said, oh, what is it that's left on your gift list that you really want? So anyway, so she said, okay, what was your budget? And I said, well, we had agreed this, blah, blah, blah. And she said, okay, let me put together something that comes to your budget. So she screenshotted what she wanted me to buy her. And I said to her, can I just send you the money and then you buy it? And she's like, why? And I'm like, to be honest, I'm a bit scared I'm going to get this wrong. She's like, no, it's okay. Like, put it in your basket and just like send me a screenshot before you order so that I can like verify it for you. So we like was adding everything and I'm like, I can't find this. And I was like literally just like getting so stressed. And then at the end I was like, okay, I've done it, I've ordered. She's like, did you get everything? And I was like, I think so. She was like, is it all right? And I was like, I think so. And she was like, oh, send me before you buy it. And I was like, I just clicked purchase. And she was like, I was like, okay, let me send you a screenshot of what the order confirmation was so you can see what I ordered. And it turned out I did get one thing wrong.
Okay,
and I was devastated.
Stuff.
Yeah, she was like, it's okay. And she actually like put it in such a positive way, because she was like, oh no, it's okay because you got the young one, so we can now use that from birth and blah blah blah. And not to pick up my cousin or anything, but
Big her up.
Big up
that
your
is exactly
cousin.
the
Big
kind
her
of way
up.
that you want someone to respond to you when
Compassion.
you're having that kind of anxiousness. Like it
Yeah.
was, I literally was like, don't talk to me. I was ignoring my partner. I was like, please don't talk to me right now, I'm so stressed. But
That's
yeah,
part
like,
of the reframing though, isn't it? Like when like and Renee said it as well, like when we are around people that actually validate us, actually give us space to be like, oh my god, I feel anxious about this, like I'm unsure about this, rightfully so, because of all the things that we've experienced. Like when they reaffirm that that's okay and like create that safety, it's like, oh my god, so I can live like this.
I can just be.
I can express myself and nobody's shouting. No, calm.
What a wild thought.
Wild stuff.
it's also like, I'm in my 30s. Like, why is someone going to be shouting at me? I feel like I've got my parents. Like,
no, say that one again.
No,
people do
shout.
what?
People shout.
Yeah.
It's a very justified thing to be afraid of. People shout.
People very much know how to lower their tone.
Yeah, people can invalidate. They can shout. They can be patronizing.
No, you're gonna
so
stop
being anxious
here.
about it. I don't think it's weird that we're on edge about these things. I think it's just that we need more space where we don't experience it, so we know when it happens it's not us, it's that the other person isn't being accommodating.
It's not me, it's you.
It's not me. Every time I get a good experience with someone where I say, hey, this bothered me, or hey, I feel anxious about this, and they're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, or like they've done something I don't like and I've said, hey, this actually really upset me, runs away, and they're like, oh my god, I didn't realize, I'm sorry about this, what can I do in the future to be better? I'm like, let the ground swallow me, because
like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing, someone's giving me space to exist.
Right? There's space for me here. And I think the more we find spaces where people do that for us and we can do it for them, it's like we retrain ourselves to know that friendship can exist and it can be healthy. All that stuff we experienced before, it was a misrepresentation of what friendship is.
That part.
You know what? I'm just going to cut in before we go on a tangent, because we've kind of circled back to something I wanted to ask you about earlier that you both mentioned, which was about masking, about like, you know, showing your true self.
She's
like,
going first this time. Did you see that? Did you see that? She's going first. Leave me alone.
I got it. Do you know what? It's one for all of us actually, but we'll probably start with Viv. Masking, like obviously late diagnosis. All four of us can say we've been late diagnosed, so we've all had some kind of experience, depending on, you know, how long, whatever. But before, you were masking hard, and after diagnosis, I'm sure like a lot of us go through that quite early, where we try to strip off that mask and demask ourselves. That for me in some friendships has kind of been like, do you actually know me because you're so used to my mask? Like,
I said that to a friend this year. I said, you know what, babes, at some point I think it would be a really nice opportunity for us to reconnect, and because I don't think you know me. When you just start catching them strays and hearing what people say about you, you're like, yo, who you talking about though? Because that ain't me. Let me reintroduce myself.
Like, I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah, definitely not just
it's
you.
not
No.
Like, how do you deal with that though? Like, how if you have before? Like, I kind of just been kind of almost backed away, but I feel like that's also one of my symptoms, that I'll just run away. So that's not necessarily a healthy way to deal with it, but it's kind of like, how do you convince that person?
It's
that
not your
they've
job
known
to
you
convince
for like
anybody
10, 20
of
years?
anything.
No.
True. But it's
Just
kind of
saying.
like, it made me question whether or not we were
really friends.
Yeah, or because, you know, another common symptom is that you'll just kind of find something in the people that are around you that you've got something connected with, and then you'll run with that. And it doesn't matter everything else that you're interested in. It's kind of like, with these people, you're running with that. And so when you stop doing that, or when you stop masking, and you like, even now my friends are like, are you okay? Like, and I'm just zoned out. Like, did you not notice that I was zoning out before? Well done, Shauna. That acting degree definitely came into
Get your money's worth.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've been paying that back for years, so I might as well. But
I think I think it was definitely the emotional side that I was masking the most. And generally, I just find it, like you're saying, Renee, I find it so funny when people are like, you're so organized. I'm like, ha! Who are you talking about? Anyway, like I've started actually explaining to people that I appear organized because I'm overthinking everything. Like I've planned this day 7 times over. I've looked at my calendar the night before, the day in the morning, in the like I'm overdoing it so that I don't forget anything. So I'm not late, even though I'm still late. So I don't forget anything. I still forget things. But from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, you're so organized, you get so much stuff done. But it's because they don't see all the stuff behind the scenes, which is fine. I've just kind of accepted that. But I think in terms of like actual intimacy with friendships, I think definitely masking like the emotional instability was like the biggest thing, because I didn't want to appear like, oh, you know, I can't manage myself, or I'm too emotional, or I'm too sensitive, or I'm weak. So like the way I was identifying emotions was as if like it was a weakness for me to feel really upset or to be really sensitive. And the only emotion that was kind of okay-ish was anger. Especially like, you know, I grew up in North London, I went to school in Wood Green. Sometimes you have to be angry, like you know, sometimes you have to protect yourself.
Make it. You gotta make it.
It's a dog eat dog world. So sometimes, you know, that served its purpose, and that was fine in certain instances. But yeah, the fear was like kind of showing that actually things really upset me that might not upset other people, that actually, you know, comments or, you know, feeling like I've been rejected or I've been forgotten about, those things actually really upset me. So pretending that it didn't bother me for so long and just kind of just trying to stay busy, get on with things, all of that stuff, I think unmasking that was probably the scariest thing, because I had to be vulnerable and I had to kind of admit that, you know, I care about this friendship, and because I do, like, it upsets me when you do X or when you say Y, and the fear of like, are they going to respond badly? Are they going to invalidate me? Am I going to lose a friendship if I kind of say I need this to happen? So I think that was probably the hardest thing, but doing it slowly, and it didn't always work. Sometimes it was a disaster. disaster for them, man, sometimes. But when it worked, it was wonderful. So I think, I've just been trying to accept that my emotions are valid. If I feel it, I feel it. So just, and the people that are going to hold space for that are going to be the ones that actually I can grow with long term, and I'll try and do the same thing for them as well. So
what about you, Renee?
I think just seeing even before we get to how friends reacted, I think it was really confusing for me, because as I said, I was like, I love people, I am everybody's friend. No, you will get burned. So that's actually what happened, where I realized that those people that I was doing up friend, sis, that was not your friend, that was your enemy.
Oh, right.
Are we going to talk about that? Can we go there, or should we
go there, girl?
I've had a couple of those, and because I'm so I'm not, no, let me just humble, on the most humble tip, you know, I'm not trying to puff up my chest and say I'm, you know, this amazing person, but I would like to think that I am very accommodating to a fault. So even if I see some behavior that really now I would look at it and be like, oh hell no, distance. I would just be like, just little throwaway comments, you know, and moves that don't make sense, but because I just don't really let certain things bother me, I just brushed under the carpet until I realized, ooh, this is a dangerous person. So I went from being super friendly, and then having a moment in my life where I needed that same level of friendliness, care, concern, and those people dropped me like flies. That's one version, or it could just be that certain situations showed their true colors, the level of respect that I have for them, the level of concern and care, like it just wasn't reciprocal. Let's just leave it at that. Just leave it at like there was no reciprocity. So then I went from being like, I love everyone, to fuck everyone. Because I then was very unsure of who is actually a safe person. So in terms of taking off that mask, I think that many people have like seen me as like the fun friend, the going out one, the blah blah blah, and sometimes the life of the party. And maybe you didn't realize that I was partying because I was running from my problems. How about this?
Escapism, baby.
You know what I mean? So when I decided to face myself, I could no longer be in company with people who just want to also escape because I'm trying to heal. So then really what was the basis of our friendship? Because it's mask off for me. I don't have interest in what we were doing or what you want to do. So really and truly, what's this connection? It's no longer serving me. So when that mask comes off, I think a lot of people can struggle to really give space to your layers. So yeah, I mean, just we kind of alluded to it before, but right now, maybe I didn't care before, but friendship for me is an all or nothing package. And I can have acquaintances because, you know, at some point I'm going to want to go outside, but right now I'm tired, so I'm just keeping it low profile. But people that don't have the capacity to deal with all sides of you, when you actually take off that mask and you're like, no, I am not forever a party girl and a fun person, like I've got some depth, and you just want to talk about man every day, girl, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? Or there's so many layers to it. But yeah, no, that frenemies. Moving right along. Next person. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for listening.
What about you, Tyler? Have you had any experience with this?
With the demasking, I think it's strange because I feel like when I made that transition from, I think I masked when in high school, I masked the whole time, but I didn't realize that what I was doing was also like flitting from different groups, and all of that stuff was just like ADHD sort of things. And then it'd be like, oh, I've not been invited to this meetup outside on a Saturday, or like people are going to cinema and I've not been invited. Then it's like, okay, so me feeling rejection sensitive disorder stuff, dysfunction, whatever, dysphoria, that's the one. That would be like, okay, I'm upset about this, so I'm just gonna not talk to these people. I'm gonna find some new friends, whatever. That's my mask, and suppressing the emotional side of it, and then move on. And then it was like AS. It's like, okay, so I'm making all new friends now because I've gone somewhere else, and I'm just going to do what I need to do to fit in with this new group and see how that goes and how that works. But then we're only here for 2 years, so realistically, like, doesn't make much difference. So then by the time I got to uni, it's like, okay, I'm going to be here 4 years. I'm now learning a bit more about myself. I've got this big group of friends. Friends with everyone because I'm still trying to find my people, all of that sort of thing. And then it's like, I'm not going to do what I did in high school. I'm not going to do what I did in sixth form, where I'm just trying to do what I need to do, suppress how I am so other people will then accept who I am. I'm just going to be me. Like, I send 45 messages in the space of 2 minutes. Like, that's, accept me, live it or leave.
And if it's too much, it's all right. Yeah,
it's fine. And then even when I was like in first year, it was still like, okay, so these are these people, I'm going to try and like do it. And then it was like, the more I went through uni, the more stressed I felt, because I was like trying to do my work. I'm also doing theatre stuff. I'm also doing like netball stuff. I'm doing all these different things. My scheduling is mad. I do architecture, so the deadlines for that are like really like highly demanding, whatever. So then it's like I never actually had any downtime. So then when I'd go home, didn't speak to my housemates. I'd just be in my room, and then I'm off out to the next thing, recharging, off to the next thing, doing whatever. They don't see me, I don't see them. And then it's kind of like, oh, well, do you not want to chat to us? And then it'd be like, oh, we're going out. We've not told you about it because we didn't think you'd want to come. And then I then feel rejected. And then it's like, right, well, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to do anything. And then it's just like this vicious circle where then, yeah. And then it got to me doing my master's, and I was kind of just like, I mean, I'm still busy. I still organize several different things, probably too many things. Like I'll look at my calendar every single day for June is blocked out. Like it's that sort of
I
stuff.
relate.
And everyone's like, oh, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, well, as soon as I take my foot off the gas, that's when everything then hits. And it's like, you've got the time to then be like, oh, well, this happened on Sunday and that's how I feel about it. But if you're busy every day, you don't have that time. You don't.
No time to process.
Yeah. So
100.
that's like, I deal with it that way. Like I'm always busy. But when it comes to like friendships and stuff like that, if I can't make something, people understand, like, well, my actual friends understand, okay, she does this all the time. We know what she's doing. It's fine. And as soon as I then do take the mask off and I'm like, actually, I'm really tired and I just can't do X, Y, and Z. Like, you may want me to take, I don't know, photos at whatever event you're doing, but I actually don't have the headspace for that right now. And I'm really sorry to then let you down, because now I feel bad about that and I'm going to be thinking about this for the next 3 weeks. Like, no, it's fine. Honestly, don't worry about it. I can hire someone. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And then I'm like, oh, okay. But I still feel bad about it. So I'm still going to go and take my camera. But realistically, it's then like, okay, I don't feel as pressured to like do whatever. And if I take some photos, then it's fine. Do you know what I mean? But it's that kind of thing of being like, me not feeling like I'm going to get judged for how I actually am. And then still opening up and like having that like moment where it's like, actually, I don't need to do all of these things
in order
just
to be
get
lovable, accepted, like
exactly.
that part,
to be enough.
And then it's then like, since I've got my actual like official diagnosis, it's like I'll join a new group or like do whatever, or I've got like an antenatal group, and then I'm constantly like, if I send loads of messages, I'm like, oh, sorry guys, you know, ADHD. Like, it's always like this disclaimer that is like, this is just who I am. Accept it or
to explain it.
don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then it's like, because I'm then giving this disclaimer, it's like, oh, well, if I hadn't given a disclaimer, what would they have said?
And might I just say, as you're talking, for some people, your disclaimer, oh, it's just an excuse. You're just using your ADHD as an excuse. Well, that person is not a friend. And that's my filtering, because I think that, especially when you're newly diagnosed, you're learning so much of who I am, but I've been like, this is problematic, this is a character flaw. Like, no, it's just the ADHD. And neurotypical people just think that you're singing this ADHD song and you won't shut up. But this is my whole entire life. So that is also a challenge, because as much as they want to understand, unless, I don't even know, can they even understand though?
They don't have to understand, they just need to accommodate.
That's it. It's the accommodations to it. It's like, okay, like I've got friends, like new people that I've met that in the past 6-7 months, whereby I'll be talking, I'll go off on a mad tangent, send their messages, I'll be stood there, they'll be like, oh, I need to go. I'm like, yeah, me too. And then I'll still be stood there talking to them for the next 45 minutes. I don't have that filter. Like, I just don't have it. So, but it's those kinds of things. And then it's people not, because I've had people in the past be like, oh, she talks so much that I just can't talk to her. And then they'll see me and they'll act funny with me, because they're like, oh, I don't want to get in a conversation. She's nice, but I don't want to get in a conversation with her because I'll be stood there for ages. But then I've got other friends that are like, I mean, she chats a lot, but it's just who she is, isn't it? She just chats a lot.
But if they actually say to you, no, really, I really have to go, like, bye, and walked away, they would be able to walk away. It's just carry on.
I'm not holding you captive. Like,
you're not grabbing their shoe. Like,
there's no gun to your head. You know what I mean?
Because also at the same time, like, I've got other appointments to be at. I should not be stood up here talking to you.
So please help me manage myself.
Help me help myself.
It's a struggle.
That's the irony, though, right? Instead of them to like, okay, and I think that's part of the accommodation. Like, if someone knows, all right, so and that could be with anything. If my problem is lateness, my friends have started giving me a different time to everybody else. I'll take it on the chin. Because then I'm going to be late. So if someone knows, all right, cool. If I start this conversation with her right now, the convo is going to go on for a long time. I'm going to set a timer. So when it gets to 10 minutes, I'm going to be like, oh, that's the timer. We're going to have to go now. Do you know what I mean? Like, if people can step into something with how do we accommodate, rather than, oh, yuck, like, I can't do this. Then it just
Mm.
changes the whole dynamic. But
That part.
yeah.
And it doesn't need to be, oh, because I have ADHD. Like, oh, I love a chat. Please, I've got to be here at 4:30. Please remind me. Like, it doesn't need to be a whole thing. I think that we feel like it needs to be, but I don't know where it was, whether it was in the support group or maybe in one of the episodes that, I think it was in the episode with the coaches, that we wouldn't need to make disclosures if the world was like more accommodating.
In general,
and I just
innit?
think, so you can communicate your needs and how to be in relation with you without having to go to.
No, I was gonna say, like, I literally, if someone sends me a text message asking something, or there's any kind of situation, or I've got anything to do with work or whatever, I'll write a message and then I send it to my sister and I'm like,
Okay,
sis,
that's good.
please,
What you're
can you go through this and
yeah,
just
yeah.
cut it down? Because I know for a fact
I'm
they've
gonna be
asked me
doing
what
too
time.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you come to dinner at this time? And I've written 17,000 words.
Yeah.
I already know this ain't right, but I can't cut this down. You need to go through it. And then she's like, okay, cool. Send it me back. 20 minutes later, done. Copy, paste, done.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm just
Love your
like,
sister. Can
that's
I have
great.
her?
But I personally,
Share her.
yes, I'll give you the dates after. I'm literally like, I know that I can't do that, or I'm not currently equipped
Yes.
to do that.
Language matters. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
In a few years, I might be able to do it, and I'll be able to be like, okay, I can see where this is going. I know I don't need that bit of information. I don't need this bit of information. I can cut this down. Yada,
And
yada,
even
yada.
if you don't, that's also okay, because there's some things that, I don't think I'm ever going to be good at timekeeping, and I'm really just going to accept that, like, everything is on a spectrum. Like, I'll just accept it. But I think that, like, because it's a spectrum, there's going to be some things that are so much harder than others. Some things, like, we can work on it and we can get up to 80%, 50%, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's actually okay to just accept that with a neurodiverse brain, some things are difficult, and I'm going to need accommodation so that I can function and thrive and be happy. And I think we need to, like, it's okay to have a little bit of both. And there are some things that we can work on and improve, and, like, all this, like, the tips and skills from ADHD coaching. And it's just figuring out which are the ones that I want to work through and which are the ones that I'm going to get accommodations for, because that's, like, we're allowed to have accommodations. It's actually within our right. Like, we're disabled people.
Everyone comes with baggage, like,
exactly.
Everyone's got their stuff.
Do you know what? Like, I think when Renee was talking earlier, I had a memory, right? You said something like they only wanted to take you for, like, the fun, happy parts. And I literally had a flashback to when I broke up with someone, because we haven't spoken about, like, intimate relationships, but we broke up. And then when we chatted afterwards to kind of, like, debrief, which actually I really enjoyed doing debriefs. Like, let's
they are quite interesting. Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know. I need to know, just so I can think about it.
Yeah. I mean, let me express my dissatisfaction.
Trust me.
Yeah. So we're chatting, and all the things that they said were a problem were things that were my ADHD.
Yeah, always.
And I was so, like, that day I genuinely cried, because I was, like, not in front of them, because I was like, you don't get to see this part. But literally, like, you were late for something, and it was a really important thing.
Yeah.
Okay. You were forgetting things. Okay.
Yeah.
You weren't, like, all these things were just ADHD, tick, tick, tick. And I was like, like, when we met and I told you I have ADHD, what did you think that meant? And I think, I don't know what it is, right? But there's this disconnect where people see a person and they're like, oh, you're a person. And then you say you have ADHD and they're like, oh, okay, they have ADHD.
Until the ADHD comes into the frame, and then all of a sudden, but why? But why?
That's it.
Girl.
Right?
Yeah. If you understood in the first place, then you wouldn't have used my symptoms against me. You would have already known that they were symptoms, and so you would have maybe been a little bit more
compassionate.
That's the word. Compassionate about it, but you weren't. You basically came in and went, oh, you were late, you're always late, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you know that that's a symptom. Do you need to go back and do some research? Like, in order for us to be friends, to be together, to be my partner, you need to know what I come with.
How many
And this
people
is
are actually doing research though? When you tell them, "Oh, I've got
mm,
ADHD," they're like, "Oh, right, okay, cool, that's
yeah,
it."
not
That's
many people
some
do.
people.
No.
That's it. I know you've got
Yeah,
something. I don't actually understand what it is. I don't really know what it is.
and
Don't
they
know
don't
what
make the
symptoms
effort.
are.
Yeah.
All I know
Yeah,
is that you've got
These
ADHD.
letters.
I'm
and that's
waiting for you
what.
to tell me what your symptoms are, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, why should I have to do that? Surely just accommodate and look it up.
Yeah, that's the problem, and I think that's why it's tough in intimate, but like, and actually with friendships as well, like because they want the good parts, like they want all the nice parts, and it's like, oh, because you're functioning here, my assumption is that you should be able to not be late, and you should be able to not forget, should, because you're doing all these other things great, and really, it's like, and I think you said it earlier, Renee, it's like you just don't really know me.
Yeah.
You have this idea of me that you want and you want to be attached to, but you're not actually seeing me in all the layers and the difficulties and the beautiful parts. And I think that's the most painful part, because in those
Yes.
moments for me, it was making me feel like I'm actually not good enough, because you know, I'm wanted enough that like we got here, but I'm not good enough that it could have sustained because of all of my difficulties, and that
Girl.
really, really hurts. It's like,
Girl.
And then it's also the
wow,
fact that it's seen as a difficulty.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like, why is how I am
mm,
make me difficult?
Well,
Yeah.
it's almost like that they don't bring
internalized.
anything to the
I told you
relationship.
it's us. We're all the problem, innit?
No, but
They are
that's what I mean.
perfect.
Exactly.
They are
It's like,
perfect and flawless and beyond reproach. Okay? It's us. Me, I'm a problem. Oh, I'm a problem.
Walking.
but
It's
we're
no.
also very compassionate. We also are like, we'll love you till the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes with those early on, when you start making friends or getting into an intimate relationship with somebody,
Yeah.
you are all in. You're hyper focused on that person.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally your whole world until they're not. And it's not that you still don't care for them or feel the way for them the way
But
that
when
you
I'm
did
done, I'm
before.
done.
But I'm gone back to, you know, doing my podcast and do whatever it is that you're doing, your new hobby, that's fine. But they need to know that, like, they can come to you and say, babe,
Let's,
come on, show me some attention.
Yeah.
Shauna, let's talk about your masking and
My
friendship.
mask.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh.
Don't think I didn't
Um,
see. Keep
yeah,
keeping track.
we did go right past that. Thanks for that, Renee. To be honest, like I said, like I've just always been friendly. People like being around me. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I'm the life of the party. I was. It was like everyone wanted to party with me. Everyone wants to go out with Shauna. Everyone wants to like be around me, which is great. Sometimes, you know, when I actually was feeling sociable, and then it became very overwhelming at times. So it got to the point where when I didn't want to go out anymore, and I was like, nah, I just want to chill at home. Like, I don't want to be in the club, it's too loud. I haven't seen you in ages. Like, why do I want to go to a club where we're literally not going to talk to each other or spend all night in the smoking area just so we can hear each other? Do you know? So that was difficult. It was kind of like me trying to, not unknowingly, because this was before I also only got diagnosed in December, so the end of last year, so almost the same as Tyler and Renee. But afterwards it was more like, okay, now I realize why I was like that, or why I don't have like, my friends are kind of like, if I message you, they'll be like, oh, hey Shauna, where have you been, kind of thing. And most people are okay. And then you kind of explain, actually, like, the reason why I've been like this and that is because of that, and they're like, oh, okay. And actually they've been much nicer. They've actually reconnected a bit more, and maybe, and to be honest, I felt like I subconsciously chose people who just accepted me for me. So I masked in certain areas, but that was mainly about my internal feelings for things. And you know, if I showed my true self, then that's where all the emotion come from, so I bottled it up. But the things that I kind of just grabbed hold on and was like, this is me, even if I thought it was a character flaw, I was just like, don't care, this is me. And that's kind of how I lived my life. And so the people around me had to accept that, because I was like, I don't care if you think I'm this, I don't care if you think I'm that, this is me. And if you like me for me, let's be friends. And so I do feel like, even though we lost touch because we just drifted apart, I have been able to kind of just go back in and message them. But then at the same time, I've had friends, and actually I was saying this to Renee the other night, decided that they, like, a lot of people would just be like, you're this, you're that, I don't like you anymore. And I'm just like, where is this coming from? Like, where is this coming from? So like my friends, if I don't text you for months, they don't care. And that's why they're still my friends, because if you I probably won't remember you again, or they'll reach out to me and be like, no, Shawnee, we haven't seen you in 6 months, we're going to have a barbecue, come on. And they will force me out the house, kind of thing. Those are the friends that I want to keep. But I've also realized a lot of those friends are actually neurodivergent.
Oh, listen, speak on it right now. Talk on it right now.
So like I feel like that has probably helped in terms of like, if you text them and they don't text you back, I'm not upset. Same vice versa. If they're late, like what you were saying before, Viv, about telling, my friends will tell us like the wrong time. They will give us like 2 hours early because they know we'll be late. And I just thought that was black man time, you know what I mean? Like, but it got ridiculous.
It's squared.
And and I used to be like, I'm never late, I'm not late, and I get really defensive about it, and I'm not always late, because I would literally try so hard to be on time. It frustrated me that I'd be late, or I'd be so early that like no one remembers that when I actually made it on time. Do you know what I mean? That did frustrate me, and I've kind of owned that now. With that, I'm very conscious of the time. It seems like this episode's going to be like 2 hours long. So I'm going to let Tyler ask her last question, and then we're going to have to say goodbye.
It's been a good one. Juicy topic.
Juicy. So now, knowing you've got ADHD, what would you say to your younger self?
Oof.
I love you, babe. But I would just tell her to just keep on being amazing, keep singing, keep writing, keep connecting, keep painting, expressing yourself in the most creative way, because that kind of died, and that's basically the core of who I am. So I'm having loads of chats with her. Like, I bring her along with me now with my adult self. So in all of the midst of these years that I've not known what's wrong, now that I know, I just tell her, you're 100% that bitch. Okay, thank you. That's, I guess, what I'd say. How about you?
I think I would kind of like echo that validation, because I definitely like experience similar things, like kind of being told that I'm weird or odd, and then trying to mask that because I'm like, I don't want to be weird. So I think I would kind of like lean into that, like, you know, it's okay to be weird, it's okay to be quirky, it's okay to be odd, it's okay that, you know, you only eat red flavored things. You know, I would just like validate the weirdness, because when I look back, like, I definitely I'll do some strange stuff. So I think just that, like, reminder to myself that I'm not, you know, I'm not an outcast, that there are people like me, or people that will understand and like me for the way I am. So to just not feel like I'm gonna be on my own all the time, because I think that was a lot of the fear. And because I was stuck in games for a lot of the summers, and, you know, watching anime on DVD, I had a lot of time on my own, and I was comfortable in that. So when it was time to socialize, it was like, oh my god, like, what if I'm not accepted, what if I'm not liked? So I would just encourage myself that you will, you know, there's someone out there for everybody, including myself. So.
We do have to move on, because I have to edit this, and at the moment I'm going to be editing it for like 6 hours. So
sorry about that. Love that. Let's do it. Let's finish off.
Okay. And scene.
So can you spell your Instagram handle for everybody, Renee, since you just said it beautifully?
BEYOUTIF and U and L and L and Y and an underscore and a B and an E.
I like the underscore bit.
And you, Viv, what about you? How can people see what you're doing? What's your social?
So my socials is VBN Sings, so Victor November Sings. So you can check out my stuff on there. But obviously follow ADHD Babes.
Yeah.
Most importantly, follow
Obviously.
ADHD Babes.
Take it away.
Thank you both for joining me. I really love this conversation. I think we
It's
need to
been
pick it up
great.
again. I feel like I say this at the end of every episode, but I really
Which
want to
means
pick it
that
up again.
we're on to something, aren't we?
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting us, Shauna and Tyler.
Thank you for,
Thanks for having me
having
as
us rant at you. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget, you can reach out to us with a message for our Dear Babes advice episodes. You can send us a voice note or a written message by clicking the links in the show notes.
If you'd like to join ADHD Babes or learn more, you'll find the links to our website and social pages in the show notes, as well as visiting ADHDBabes.com.
Thanks for listening and catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of ADHD Babes, the podcast. If you're a Black woman or non-binary person and needs help and support in managing your ADHD or advice on diagnosis, please visit ADHDBabes.com. No clinical diagnosis is required to join. Join us in 2 weeks for a new episode. Until then, all the love from the ADHD Babes team.